I sent it to voicemail because I was in a meeting at 7 p.m., going through this barrage of emails. And I realized I had several voicemails. One was from my mom, and she'd been sober for a while, but I could tell in the message she had been drinking. On her voicemail, she had said, "Honey, it's me. Can you call me back?" She told me the doctors have found something. She found out she had stage 4 lung cancer. She went through chemo and radiation. But stage 4, you usually don't get out of that. I got to hospice. My mom was still in the bed. It was the first time I cried in my adult life. Sobbed uncontrollably. I kept saying, "I'm sorry." I didn't even know why at the time I was saying it. It just was the only thing that I could say. I really wish that I would have spent more time with her.
My mother's death still hangs in the air around me. And now, during the same month, my 6-year marriage is ending. But even while Rome is burning, there's somehow time for shopping at IKEA. See, when I moved out of the house earlier this week, toting my many personal belongings in large bins and boxes and 50-gallon garbage bags, my first inclination was, of course, to purchase the things I still needed for my new place. You know, just the basics. A shower curtain, towels, a bed, and oh, I need a couch and a matching leather chair, and a love seat, and a lamp, and a desk chair, and another lamp for over there. And oh yeah, don't forget about the sideboard that matches the desk, and a dresser for the bedroom. And oh, I need a coffee table and a couple end tables, and a TV stand for the TV I still need to buy. And now that I think about it, I'm gonna want my apartment to be my style. You know, my own motif. So I need certain decoratives to spruce up the decor. But wait, what exactly is my style? And do these stainless steel picture frames embody that particular style? Does this replica Matisse sketch accurately capture my edgy but professional vibe? Exactly how edgy am I? What espresso maker defines me as a man? Does the fact that I'm asking these questions preclude me from being a, quote, man's man? How many plates and cups and bowls should a man own? I guess I need a dining room table too, right? And a rug for the entryway and bath mats. And what about that one thing? That thing that's sort of like a rug, but longer? Yeah, a runner. I'm gonna need one of those. And I'm also gonna need... well, hell, what else do I need?
My name is Sam Harris. I'm an author and neuroscientist, and I'm interested in how our growing understanding of ourselves scientifically can and must and really should change our conception of what it means to live a good life. Gratifying desires in a starkly materialistic way is really an interesting phenomenon. You have this thing that you were obsessed about, but then the new version comes out, which is new and improved in a dozen ways.
When it comes to the newest, hottest, most crave-worthy status symbols, you can bet customers will wait long hours to snag one.
And now you no longer care about the one you have. In fact, the one you have is a source of dissatisfaction. I think we're confused about what's going to make us happy. Many people think that material possessions are really at the center of the bullseye, and they expect that gratifying each desire as it arises will somehow summate into a satisfying life.
It is clear that as human beings, we have strong attachment, initially in our lives to people who are caring for us. And sometimes it feels like those attachments spill over to objects, as if they were as important as people. I'm not so sure that we have such a great relationship with things.
I was talking to the author and sociologist Julie Shore, and I said, the problem with our society is that we're too materialist. And she said, actually, if you think about it, in some ways, we're not material enough.
We are too materialistic in the everyday sense of the word. and we are not at all materialistic enough in the true sense of the word. We need to be true materialists, like really care about the materiality of goods. Instead, we're in a world in which material goods are so important for their symbolic meaning, what they do to position us in a status system based on what advertising or marketing says they're about.
The status quo in the fashion industry right now is driven by fast fashion. Maybe when our moms were shopping for clothes, or our grandmothers, there were 4 seasons a year, or maybe even 2 seasons. You dressed for the cold, you dressed for the warm. Now we work in a cycle of 52 seasons per year. They want you to feel like you're out of trend after 1 week so that you will buy something new the following week. There have actually been accounts of big fashion retailers mailing all of the clothes from 1 week together, slashing through them with scissors, destroying them and leaving them on the side of the road so that nobody can resell them or even wear them. They want consumers to buy as much clothing as quickly as possible.
The era of fast fashion in which we're making clothes in sweatshops, so we're not paying the true labor costs and we're not paying the ecological costs of these things, drove the price of apparel down so far that used apparel became worthless. I like to think rice and beans cost more than used apparel. In historical terms, that's the world upside down. And that represents the economics of such an extreme and profound unsustainability. For a scholar of these things, it's kind of breathtaking and horrifying. Fast fashion is what's happened to apparel and then increasingly to the whole consumer goods sector. Almost anything in the home now, it becomes an object of fashionability. And that's been a just dramatic transformation. If you think about the concept of fashion, it embodies in it the idea that you can throw things away, not when they're no longer usable, but when they no longer have that social value or they're no longer fashionable.
I think people buy because they're trying to fulfill this void inside of them. And I know that because that was me. But no matter how much stuff we buy and how many different fads that we try, we don't become a more whole person. We keep looking. This hunger never gets fulfilled.
I think it goes to the bottom line fact that you can never get enough of what you don't really want. In other words, deep down, we don't really want more goodies, more toys, more cars. We want what they will bring us. We want to feel whole. We want to feel content.
This mindless consumption, this same thing that's not making us happy is also causing the degradation of our habitat. We can afford to have 350 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We're closing in on 400 parts per million. It's caused by the burning of oil, of natural gas, of coal, of all the fuels that we use to power our consumer economy, to power the making of crap that we don't need.
This is real, and we really have to do something about it.
We're not going to ever be able to achieve the environmental gains that we're seeking while still expecting our lives to be the same. We're going to have to give up a lot. The secret is that a lot of that we're not actually going to miss.
It has been like 4+ years that I've technically been homeless, though I go to new countries and rent flats, so it's maybe in between homes, or maybe home full. I just have a lot of homes, just not in one place, not for very long. It's always interesting, you go on a date or something and have to explain, oh yes, I'm homeless. Maybe I shouldn't lead with that. When I first started reducing the number of things in my life and started getting rid of essentially everything that didn't fit into these bags, so I went through and took photos of everything that I owned in the world and counted. And as a result, I found out that I had 51 things in the entire world. I started living this way about 4 years ago. I was running a branding studio. I'd always wanted to travel the world, and I had never left the country. And that was kind of a sign of my failure in a lot of ways. So I started up a blog, left my career behind in Los Angeles, and started looking for something new, something a little bit different, and something a little bit more in line with what I wanted out of life. And now I carry everything that I own on my back, much like a hermit crab or turtle. I was able to get rid of everything that I owned that didn't fit into carry-on luggage, which was an immense decision and not something that I expected from the get-go. I realized very quickly I wouldn't need as much, and came to the conclusion that anything I left behind would probably be left behind forever. What did it at the end of the day knowing this path had been well tread, the direction I was going, and these very, very successful men and women with all of this money and all this prestige and all this professional background behind them, they weren't happy. They're very successful, but not in an absolute sense. They're dollars and cents successful. It seemed far more likely that I could find a definition of success that would actually get me to a place where I was both successful and just incredibly happy.
It does look like money can buy happiness in some sense. In global research, below $70,000 US a year, adding greater material well-being is linked to greater psychological well-being. But when you start pushing past that rough threshold, money doesn't buy happiness. You can have more money, but you're not happier.
Jim Carrey has a quote where he says, "I wish everyone could become rich and famous so they could realize it's not the answer." The first response is always this: well, it's easy for Jim Carrey to say. He's rich and famous, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, who else could say that? It would take someone rich and famous to be able to say it's not worth it.
We all need to have our basic needs met. Having a house, food on the table, being safe. That's really important to recognize because not everyone has those things.
You think that more money is going to, say, give you security. The problem is that you don't necessarily have control over making more. One thing you do have control over is spending less. What you do have control over is having less, and that by having less, you automatically stretch what you do have.
It's not so much about financial gain for me as it is about financial freedom, which is the ability to wake up in the morning and spend one's day as they see fit. And part of why we consume, I think, is that we work for so long and a lot of people aren't finding fulfillment in their jobs, and they need some way to tell themselves that it is worth it, that it is amounting to something more than a few numbers in a bank account. There's more to life than bills and money and work.
How do you win? You win by the traditional monikers of success. You win by how many zeros are at the end of your paycheck. I remember I was sitting, in a Barnes & Nobles, and I was deciding what major I would study, and all I was doing was leafing through this book. It was a book that showed degree versus earning potential over time. And that's when I zeroed in on finance and accounting. My entire life became about winning with a capital W. My entire life became about being the guy that would be respected. Had a series of vertical leaps through my 20s, which landed me to this place in 2008. I'm making a ridiculous six-figure salary. I've got a corner office. And on December 31st, 2007, my boss calls me to his office, and he tells me that I'm getting a promotion. And this was it. This was the game changer. This is me being a junior partner in this firm, and everything that I'd ever worked for was going to be handed to me right then and there. In banking terms, I was minted. And I remember just hearing this man say that, and it was just a really bizarre kind of ethereal moment where I was like watching this happen, it was almost, and I walked out of his office and I walked back into my own, and I just closed the door behind me. I just started weeping because I realized that I was completely and utterly trapped, and that I would never be able to walk away from that amount of money ever in my life. And any dream that I had of living a life of purpose and meaning and being an adventurer and somebody that would actually take risks and live a life that's deliberate and intentional, those were gone. When you see your life scripted out and you recognize that this is not anything I want, why am I doing this? This guy that's handed me this, I don't want to be him. I don't envy his life. Maybe this was never for me to begin with, and maybe if I don't leave right now, I'm going to be that dude for the rest of my life. And I just took the elevator down 28 stories, and that was it. And ever since then, I decided that this life was going to be mine, and it was going to be wildly, flamboyantly my life. Yes.
Ready? Here it is. Nevada, 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 Nevada. Nevada! Woo! Yeah, that was good.
All those people are waiting,
That's what we're,
and I'm not sure where they're supposed to be.
I'm thinking, do you want to go take a look over here?
Sure, we can do that. Or scrambling to find seats for roughly 30 people.
This is the most disorganized night of the tour so far. We're in Las Vegas, go figure, and the space that we rented here, for whatever reason, aren't ready for us, even though that we paid to rent the space. Thankfully, there's some awesome people here who are really helping us. Somehow we're going to make this work.
Yes. Wow. Thank you very much. It's funny. I used to think rich was earning $50,000 a year. Then when I started climbing the corporate ladder in my early 20s, I quickly began earning 50 grand. But I didn't feel rich. Something went wrong. I had to go back to the drawing board. And I found out that I hadn't adjusted for inflation.
Okay, so we can pontificate for only so long. We're really here for you, as Ryan mentioned, and so we like to do what we call questions and attempted answers.
You're dedicated, you're creative, you're innovative, you have a sincere desire for mankind. The very people who the wolves of Wall Street fear, and to me, you're moving yourself from the wall. If you're really talking about minimalism, the ultimate minimalist is a hermit, a recluse, or a monk. And to me, that's not going to change the world. You know what I'm saying? You're the only threat to that system.
You're right. There are two sides of the spectrum. I think, we're ideally somewhere in the middle of that, right? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with consumption. The problem was compulsory consumption, buying stuff because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what advertising tells you to do, or that's what the magic template is for happiness. And then when you get it, you realize that it doesn't make you as happy as you thought it would. Yeah, it was a great comment. Thank you so much.
We're trying to destroy those walls. I'm serious.
Amen. Let me grab a hug. Yeah, thank you so much.
I tell you, their personality and their straightforwardness and answering all the questions, that charisma about it is what's connecting with the people, as you can see yourself.
It's like 4:30 in the morning. Yes. And we are going to go be on TV.
Good morning, 5:23. A lot of us look forward to buying the latest gadget or smartphone. But this morning, I'm joined by two men who've taken what they say is a simpler route and are living a life of minimalism.
Hi, we're here for 5 o'clock hour and 6 o'clock hour. Josh and Ryan with The Minimalists.
I was living the American dream, and I realized it wasn't my dream. I looked around all the stuff in my life when my mother died and my marriage ended, both in the same month, and started questioning what was actually important, what things were actually adding value to my life. And I realized that many of the things that I bought to make me happy, they weren't actually doing their job.
Okay, well, good luck to you. Take it easy. Don't do too much. Don't buy anything today, all right?
Amen.
Good luck with that. We'll be back in just a bit.
Well, next at 9:30, the latest on the search for a missing Malaysian flight that disappeared 5 days ago. Plus, how you can show your...
Minimalism is not a radical lifestyle. I absolutely believe in quality over quantity, right? So I'd much rather have one nice sweatshirt than a closet full of ugly sweatshirts that I don't enjoy wearing. I don't own a lot of clothes now, but all the clothes I do own are my favorite clothes. So let's take a look at what I have packed for 10 months of traveling. I'm wearing my one pair of jeans. Got a couple denim shirts. I have a short sleeve, button-up Oxford, a few t-shirts, a blow dryer. Every good minimalist has a blow dryer. And plenty of underwear. Now here's the secret with underwear. You have to have one color that's in the middle. This is how you separate your dirty underwear from your clean underwear, with the red pair of underwear. Toiletry bag. Everyone needs a toiletry bag, obviously. And I also have a laptop with me, but that's it for 10 months.
We didn't really have a plan, which is pretty much our story. In 2010, when I was really digging into this decluttering and simplifying, I thought about the one place in my house that was the most cluttered, and that was my closet. And so I decided to create a minimalist fashion challenge to use less than what I had. So Project 333, the challenge for me was to wear 33 items for 3 months. And the 33 items included clothing, jewelry, accessories, and shoes. And that's where I usually lose people. It was a great way for me to really see what I needed, what I was using, and just if it would make a difference. And so I was working in advertising. I had a lot of clients I had to see every day. I'd go to sales meetings. And for that first 3 months, nobody noticed. The story got picked up by the Associated Press because so many people were writing about it and practicing it and trying it.
In this video, I'm going to talk more about how I plan my Project 333.
Project 333.
Project 333.
And I thought, oh boy, this is it. And they didn't notice. So I probably went that full year until I left my job with no one really knowing that I was dressing with only 33 items.
I do this thing called Project 333. It just kind of helps me keep my wardrobe really simple. I went from this giant closet where I had, 100 sweaters to now having this super tiny wardrobe and being able to share a closet with Logan. And that's made a big difference just I don't fret about what I'm going to put on in the morning because all the stuff in my closet is awesome. At least I think so.
There's something about not being prepared for every moment that actually helps you engage with your community. Being pregnant, for instance, it's such a limited time. I had a dress-up event to go to, and I said to David, let me go see if I can find a dress. And I was thinking, gosh, this is really outdated. I have 2 months left. The event is next week. What am I going to do? So I called a couple of my girlfriends. Hey, do you have any dresses I can, go through? But in the past, I definitely would have bought what I needed when I needed it, because that's what you do. You prepare yourself, for your situation. The beauty of it is it's become very communal. Our friends ask us for stuff. We've become closer to people because of it.